a hill.
That's not it.
Nope.
That's this guy right here.
What's the name of it?
It's the Samuel May house. It's weird. It's like we put in, you know, people drop pins for these places and you put in the address and it's, you've arrived, but you're not there. Where is it?
Right up here.
Can we walk?
No. I think that's it right there. It looks like that has that built-on section on the other side and the columns out front. And the house just faces that way. Oh, come on, that's not a... Thought you could go across right there. This has to be it. Yep. See a historical marker. Yep, that's it.
Ooh, it's a steep little hill, isn't it? It's a very lopsided place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jeez. It's like a gravity room.
We found it.
We did. See if I can get out of here. I'm like, we're on a hill. Oh, shoot.
Like you're no matter where you're at, it's downhill from there.
Yeah.
Oldest thing here, no doubt, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess you can't really fix it without compromising. Samuel May, 1783-1851. Son of a Revolutionary War veteran, John May and Sarah Phillips May, Samuel settled in Prestonsburg around 1807, commissioned to build the county's first brick courthouse in 1818. Elected state senator in 1835, he proposed improving a critical road in eastern Kentucky, the Mount Sterling Pound Gap Road. He died in California during the gold rush, which we'll get to that. There's an interesting story about that. Now, I was first told about the Samuel May house by friends of mine that said it was extremely haunted. So this used to be on, I think, 350 acres of farm, and they had enslaved people here that helped build it. The walls are actually 4 bricks deep because they built this imagining Indian, Native American attacks, though it never did happen. And then later on, Samuel May's son used it as a recruiting headquarters for the Middle Creek battle. Now, at some point, Samuel May decided that he couldn't keep this place up, that he couldn't afford the mortgage, or he didn't want to pay the mortgage, what have you. And so he decided to head out west, where he would get his riches through gold. So this was the staging area for Humphrey Marshall's Confederates, which the Union soldiers were under soon to be President Garfield, James Garfield. So the 400-acre May farm with its steam-powered grist mill was used as a recruiting post and staging area by the region's leading secessionists. So in September 1861, Jack May, Hiram Hawkins, Ezekiel Clay, James Thomas, and Benjamin Dashaw marched their militia companies to this location and organized the 5th Kentucky Infantry. Hawkins' Bath County Volunteers were the first men to pitch their tents at the farm. Jack May's Morgan County Volunteers arrived the next day. William James May, the owner of the farm, was Jack's cousin, and the farm itself was Jack's birthplace and boyhood home. 5th Kentucky joined Marshall's command and saw action during the Battle of Middle Creek, which occurred January 10th, 1862. So, I mean, just imagine, none of this stuff was here. And there is tents posted around this house. Some of these people were gonna march to battle and never return home.
That's right.
And they had no idea that these were their last hours of peace.
And so there was probably a speech or two made from right up there. It's really cool inside.
On October 2nd, 1861, the Confederates camped at this location sent the following letter to President Jefferson Davis in Richmond. It said, "Our legislature has betrayed us. We have marched to this point on account of its strategic importance with 1,000 men. Hundreds are gathering around our standard daily. We can have 5,000 men here in 2 weeks. We would most respectfully petition your excellency to send us immediately some experienced military man to command us and place us upon a footing to make ourselves available in furthering the cause of civil freedom, in which we have enlisted and to which we pledge our lives in our sacred honor." So this right here is the May house, and this is the Middle Creek battlefield. So this is the house in 1936. So eventually Samuel May decided to take his family and move on out west in hopes of striking it rich in the gold rush. But he eventually died in California February 27th, 1851. They said his grave was destroyed by other gold miners near Placerville in El Dorado County. The last record of him was recorded December 17th, 1850 in the California census. Now, years later, his son, Colonel Andrew Jackson May, recalled the story of Samuel's death, which is where this gets interesting. He and his boys built a cabin near Placerville, a boom town on the South Fork of the American River. In and around the diggings of Placerville, they sought their fortune. They found some of the metal that had lured thousands from the east, but no vast fortunes came to any of the trio. For Samuel, the hard work and constant exposure soon took its toll. On January 1851, he developed a fever. He went to his cabin and lay down to die, basically. With his son Andrew and the other boy at his side, and the cold wind whistling through the chinks, he lingered for several weeks in a state of delirium. At one point, he called his son to his bedside and made an unusual request. Most of all, he wanted coffee. He could smell the aroma of it, probably, because of his delirium. But he still wanted it. He would tell his son, and so Andrew Jackson May rode for miles around the diggings asking for coffee. But this item was a luxury that most prospectors had gave up months ago. However, Andrew's persistent search brought him to a camp larger than the others. Upon asking if there was any of the desired coffee, he was told that there was, but it wasn't for sale. So what is passed down is the dialogue between the gold digger and the young son, and it goes to this day. "But I must have coffee," Andrew said. "You're not getting no coffee here. Coffee is scarce," said the gold digger. "But my father's dying, and most of all, he wants coffee. I don't want it for myself. I want it as my father's last wish. Just let me have this one thing, please." The gold digger changed. "Why didn't you say that this is why you wanted it in the first place?" he asked. Andrew got the coffee for his dying father. So as Samuel breathed his last breath on February 27th, 1851, his life ended with a deathbed scene worthy of Charles Dickens. Momentarily revived by the hot coffee, he roused himself and gave the boys directions regarding his burial and where to put the gold. Then, with great effort, he placed his hands upon their heads and pronounced this, "God bless you both," he whispered, and then he simply died. So in 1898, during the period when he was practicing law in Tazewell, Virginia, Andrew Jackson May traveled back to California, walked the hills around Placerville, and tried to remember and locate his father's grave. But by then, the place had changed so much that he just couldn't find it. Since no stone marks Samuel's grave, his real monument is his house. And that ends the life and the legacy of someone named Samuel May that maybe you didn't know 10 minutes ago, but you know now. And this is where he lived.
It's kind of hard to imagine though, isn't it? All that stuff. Just nothing but...
Especially with cars, you know, driving around, loud things, and, you know, all these modern day...
Yeah.
Or GoPro, and it's hard to imagine.
And you picture it just tents as far as you can see.
I can't imagine packing up here and traveling out west, which is a hassle to get to by plane. You know, I'm from California initially, and it's hard to get here by plane, no less by wagon.
Yeah, horse. No kidding. No kidding. Beautiful old house though. Got this bench. I noticed this when we first walked up. I mean, you can see there's all sorts of antique writing desks, chairs. I saw some Confederate swords, flags, various things like that inside. But look at just outside here. Look at this bench. This thing is about, I'm gonna say 2 feet across, and probably it's about a foot thick. And it looks like it's been here a really, really, really long time. And check that out, hand hewn. It's a little tool called an adze. Those marks, I recognize those from a lot of the old cabins and stuff we visited. It's from a tool called an adze. Take a great big tree and carve it down into that. It's a little tool, looks like a hoe, but it's, you know, like a maybe 18 inches, something like that, not very big. And you just sit there and just chip away until there's nothing left except for what you want. Beautiful old house though. You can tell the brick is really old, but it's been cleaned. You can tell. It's awful pretty. But old trees, you can see where the old trees stood, and I mean, just by the diameter of those 2 trees, you would imagine those were probably here during the time period. And there's a few other little markers. I'm not exactly sure what they mean, but there's nothing left. It's just the stone where one used to be. And look at the old steps going up. Hand-hewn stones. Look at that. That's a lot of work to make one step. But I noticed there's a couple of these. Not sure if they maybe even mark the property boundary or something. I'm not really sure. But you can tell where there was big trees all around the house. See a hole where one was there. Great big one here. 2 big ones there. And you can see where they just had these really big trees all the way around the house. And there was a picture actually you could see through the window. Go around this way. Hopefully Heather don't come that way looking for me. We're just playing ring around the antique house. But well, you can kind of look in and glance at some of the stuff. A little kitchen, modern looking. Modern stove and stuff, modern range. Curtains. Curtains. An old door in it. The thing looks old, don't it? And here you can see An old writing desk and chair. Look at the chair. That looks very old and very fancy for the time, no doubt. Antique piano. Now this one was actually the one I was wanting to show you guys. I see Heather way back down there. She's down that way. Look at this. An old Victrola sitting right there. The old record player had the horn on top. You can see the crank right there. Old dining table. Little oil lamps and stuff. Look at that. And you can see, I don't know how well y'all can see it. There's a painting of the house. I'm not sure what year it was done, but there's nothing else around it. So that's, you know, what the place looked like many years ago. And apparently whoever painted it was standing about right there. The angle. I didn't look in this one. That's that old piano right there. Old Singer sewing machine. Look at the piano though. I mean, that is really fancy woodwork. Hardwood floors. And 2 windows left. And stairs going up. Alright, try to block the light. Y'all can see. An antique table sitting there. And we're back where we started. Kind of glance in there real quick. An old sofa. And a telegraph sitting there on the desk. Cool. Beautiful old place, isn't it? Did he? Hillbilly's out.